Okay, Heart Shape Booty, day 6. I have 3 new exercises for you, plus a new stretch. But I have some tips for you. I want to start by talking about recovery days, and that for our purpose for this month, we don't have to worry about them. I know that sounds kind of bad or odd coming from a trainer, but I have my reasons. Here's the deal. Unless you are working out at an athletic level, okay? Not that you shouldn't have recovery days, but unless you are working out at an athletic level and trying to actually pack on muscle gains, in which you're going to have all kinds of other things to worry about, a much more intentional programming, a much more time in the gym, worrying about your nutrition and your protein intake, okay? Unless you're working at that level, the reason why I say don't worry about recovery days is because the recovery days will basically take care of itself. All right. So even if you were working out 7 days a week, or if that was your intention, you're not going to end up working out 7 days a week. And it's not because I don't have faith in you or your intention. It's because that's what life does. Okay. So the other way the recovery takes care of itself is that in case you worked out so much that you're too sore to work out the next day, that will also take care of your recovery days. But for our purposes, so if you're doing these along with even a regular gym routine, your level of soreness or the intention should be volume. Okay, overall volume, meaning that your level of soreness will be enough for you to either be able to work through it, totally fine to work through soreness, as far as muscle soreness, because we're not talking about injuries, right? And then that's also another boon, right? Benefit that you're probably not going to have injuries at this level. And then you're also working to where you might even, you did something yesterday, but again, it's not like to where you can't walk, or you don't feel sore at all because you're used to it, meaning you have a certain level of strength and ability there. So in that case, you could basically assume you're working at a level where you could work out 7 days a week if you can't. The other way recovery days take care of itself is because some days we just don't feel like it, right? Or we feel tired for whatever reason and whatever, right? We're not going to end up overworking. It's kind of like when those protein bars got super popular. I forget what they were called. They were before the Luna bars, but they were like the chocolatey bars. That were very calorie dense, and everyone thought, oh, I better power up and eat one of these before my workout. No, unless you're a triathlete, nobody needed those, okay? Unless you were a bodybuilder, you didn't need it. So it's kind of the same thing. Don't overthink your recovery day, okay? And recovery, in case you didn't know, we're talking about where you're building up your muscles, by which you're tearing down the muscles first by the heavy lifting, and then you need the time for your body to actually recover in order to repair the muscles, and then that's how you actually gain the strength in the muscles and the shape. Now, again, we're not going to that level of building, okay? It would take way too long. I don't know what you're doing. I can't, program that for you. So and I don't know what kind of equipment you have for the load that you need for something like that. So this is for everyone, and you could always add additional if you wanted to by just doing more reps, doing more rounds, adding more of the weights of whatever you have, or adding the complexity, okay? So which is where we just start combining more of the moves. Many ways that we could get a lot out of this without going crazy with the load. Okay, I actually hate going heavy, super heavy, because you also have to think about later on, if you gain a whole bunch of muscle, what kind of work it takes to maintain that. Okay, and to me, it's not worth it. Anyway, so we're not also going to have time to repeat anything. So I have the other tip for you, is that even though I'm not going to repeat an exercise. You should definitely be free to repeat an exercise. So there's going to be a few exercises at least that you're going to end up discounting for yourself, whether it's because it's too difficult or you don't know, you don't get the setup, you're not feeling it, and it's too frustrating, because I don't want you to get frustrated. Just drop it. You know, if it gets that frustrating, move on to something else. You'll probably gain favorites, right? Sometimes our hip sockets are aligned a different way, our limbs are different lengths, so not every exercise is going to be your favorite, and you're not going to this is not meant for you to, you know, get frustrated. So always go back to some of your favorites or other ones that we did if you need to. Also, as a good example, I'm going to ask you to give you a suggestion to do the glute bridge today as your warm-up. Okay, so when you're ready to start, just pause and rep out some glute bridges, because if there's nothing else that you gain out of this month, if you're able to execute a proper glute bridge, then you've gotten your money's worth, which is free, right? So the glute bridge is going to give you, teach you how to do full hip extension, which is the end all be all right there, okay? Because if you're able to do a full hip extension, that means you have glute contraction ability. That means that if you have lower back pain or knee pain, it's going to probably help you there or prevent it, okay? So it's a really important exercise to be able to do. You basically can't overdo it. It's body weight. You can do it, you know, on the floor, on the bed. So good mobility, good warm up to do, and just spend 2 minutes. Okay, so the first exercise that we're going to do is the front lunge. The front lunge is going to be focused on the glutes. So if you feel it in other parts of your legs, like your quads, it's okay to work the quads. It's okay to work the hamstrings. And the hamstrings and glutes especially should work together. It's just that we're trying to learn how to focus on the glutes and to make sure that the glutes are contributing when they need to, especially when they should be doing pretty much the work. So we're going to cue you to focus on the glutes. So the front lunge, we want to focus on having all the weight on this heel. We want a long enough stance so that we're not short-chain, our knees are not too close. It's a different sort of exercise. We want a lunge where we're fairly far back. The end motion here, where you come down, I'm just gonna rest on my knee. When you're down at the bottom position, you wanna have your knees drive forward, okay? Not to where it's beyond the toes at this point, but to where you're about hitting your tippy toes there, or your toes, okay? So we're not going to go 90-90 here. This is our suitcase lunge. We're doing just a regular front lunge here, focusing on the glutes. So make it come there. If you can't because you don't have the ankle mobility, just try your best to go beyond this 90 setup. The back leg could touch down or just come close, okay? Now notice that I'm slightly angled, so I'm not down here. I haven't lost my hinge. My back is straight, but we're at an angle, and this angle remains as I come up. So what we're not doing is driving back and up, okay? We're coming and down and up in the same path, and we're constantly checking, is my weight in my heels, okay? So we'll stay on that one leg for the duration, okay? The other option is if you have the space and you want to walk and do the alternating lunge, that's fine. The second level, if you just stay with that, that's totally fine. That's enough, you know, on most days for me. If you want to go to the second level, you would hold weights on both hands, okay? So I'll show you on the other leg. You want to go drive down, touch down, okay? Make sure your knees are not coming back. That's always the same cue, okay? If you want to go step up level, what you would do is take a higher weight, but on one hand, okay? go pretty heavy on this one if you can, because what you're going to fight here is this weight pulling you down on the opposite leg that you're working. So the leg in the front is the glute that we're working. So you want to fight being off kilter at any point, okay? That's your third level. The second exercise is a single leg kneeling squat. This one is another fun one. The first position is to take one knee, and this bent knee glute is what we're going to work. If you want to take off your shoes, that's fine. The other leg extends straight from the hip, and when you come up, you're going to squeeze through that bent knee leg, glute, okay? So descend again at that hinge and squeeze at the top. To make it harder, take a band that's fixed behind you to something sturdy, okay, like this, make sure, and then have it go over your waist. To make it even harder, use that as well as a weight, whether you have a barbell on the back or you're holding a weight in the front, all right? Of course, that's unilateral exercise on both sides, so both exercises so far, so don't forget. Actually, all three exercises are unilateral today, so you're gonna have to start with your weaker side, rep it out, do the other side, come back, do some more on the weaker side. All right, the Jane Fondas are next. The Jane Fondas could bring you to tears. And it's very deceiving because it looks so easy. You want your legs in line with your pelvis, your body straight. So you don't want to be rocking back here. Now, if you're rocking back, this is a different exercise, but you want to come up here. If this is uncomfortable for you, put a cushion right where you're hitting the floor there. Your arms, you could be up here on your elbows, or you could come down and just get comfortable, either which way, okay? So find a comfortable position for your head. I will just prop myself up like this. Now you're going to lift that leg. When you lift that leg, make that foot a dead foot, okay? So don't point it up, don't point it down, just make it dead, which will mean it'll basically be, your toes will basically be shooting forward. And you want to control that up without rocking back, without tilting back. So you're going to have to engage your abs. If you're up here on your elbows, make sure it's in line so that you're not scrunching, okay? So you'll engage to the lats here as well. Stretch out your rib cage, okay? So of course at the top is where you'll feel the abduction and your glute med working. So this one, if you do like 5, 6, 7, you're like, oh, this is so easy. Wait till you get to a certain number where it starts to burn. And this is actually another nice way to come back as your very last exercise bonus to do it to burn out. Meaning you want to stay at the top and just pulse, okay? Just pulse and feel the burn. That's another option for you if you want to add to the workout sessions. And then finally, we have the stretch. The stretch is so awesome. It's the wall crossover glute glute stretch. So you want to get fairly close to the wall, okay, to where you have your butt's fairly close to the wall, and you want to press your foot against the wall and come up just slightly. We're not doing a thrust or a bridge here. Just lift up your bum, cross this leg over, and this leg you could play with, okay? So but just cross it over to where it feels comfortable, and then come down. And now you'll feel a pretty intense stretch all the way through that glute. So remember, the static holds, we're going for 30 to 60 seconds, okay? And always do your static hold stretch as your cool down. It's going to help strengthen your glutes. Okay, see you next time.